Hey everyone, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited to be here. My name is Rishen and I'm joined here by my colleague Chhavi. We work for Toplyne. Product-led companies like Canva and BrowserStack use Toplyne to monetize their free users. And we're here today to talk to you about community and the role it plays in product-led growth. When we think product-led growth, most people realistically think all you need is a seamless product. The ones who are enlightened among us know that you have to combine that seamless product with distribution, which typically is something content gives you. But the OGs amongst us, they know that for a product-led company to be truly great, the differentiator is actually community. I, for one, for example, cannot envision a Figma or a Canva or a Webflow without of its community. I truly believe that community is what separates the good companies from the great ones. And which is why we believe all product-led companies need to be investing in community on day one, because it's something that takes forever to get right. Having said that, building a community is easier said than done. And that's actually why we're here today. We're here to discuss a couple of tactical pieces of advice we've learned on our journey so far from legends like Canva on how you can build a community. And that's what we'll be sharing with you. Chhavi, over to you.
Hello, everyone. So the first question that we need to ask ourselves is basically, why do we want to build a community? You could be building a community for research, wherein you want to understand your user base much better than your peers and outperform them. You could also be building a community for customer acquisition. If you have a large community of members, it's easy to get paying customers from that base, and you'll have an advantage on customer acquisition cost. Another reason for building a community could be engagement. If you already have an active user base, you can have people engage with one another on how they're using the product, and this will basically help you improve retention on your platform. And lastly, you could be building your community for support. You can identify what are the pain points that users are facing when they are using your product. You can help them overcome those issues and cause them delight. So once you've identified why you want to build a community, the next question to ask yourself is, where do you want to build a community? And there are realistically 3 ways to go about it. You can say that I want to leverage social platforms like Facebook or Reddit to build my community. What these platforms give you is an advantage on member acquisition. These platforms are also built over time to improve retention of users amongst themselves. So these platforms can basically help you get members into your community very easily. Whereas if you're building a community on your own platform, it's a complex process. First, to set up that platform, and secondly, to get in members in your community on those platforms. Whereas if we talk about engagement within members, it's very difficult on social platforms like Facebook and Reddit because there's so much distraction. One moment you're in one community, but you want to see what's going on the other groups. If you build a community on your own platform, then engaging with your members is easier in that case. The middle ground is basically building your community on platforms like a Slack or a Discord, where it is, yes, somebody else's platform, but at the end of the day, it's your own private community. So this middle ground basically gives you best of the both worlds. It's easier to acquire members for the community, and it's also easier to engage with members relatively. So once you've decided why you want to build a community, let's say it's for user research, and where you want to build a community, let's say it's Slack, the third question that you need to ask yourself is, how are you going to seed the community? Now, solving this cold start problem is a 4-step process. Number 1, you would want to invite your power users into the community. So reach out to your customer success executives or account managers, find your best customers and get them in. The second part of the process is to host in-person events. You can go out, meet people who are already part of communities that you really care about, talk to them, and try to get them into your community. The third step is once you have gotten these power users and evangelists into your community, ask them for referrals and incentivize them to bring people into the community. And the fourth step, once you start seeing the early signs of community building, is to amplify it on social media and get the distribution going. So we basically talked about why do you want to build a community, where you should build a community, and how you should build a community. But how do you really know whether what you're doing now is working or not? So to track that, we've coined something we would like to call the minimum viable community framework. This is a mental model which basically helps you figure out where are you in your journey, where are you in the journey of your community building, and what you should do to head to the next step. So let's discuss it in detail. So for the first 6 weeks of your community building process, what is your job to be done? You want to get in power users and evangelists. One good metric to track at this stage is the admin-generated content to user-generated content ratio. If more than 90% of the content that is generated on your community is coming from admins, then it's safe to say that you're still in the early stages of your community building and you've not earned the right to go to the next stage. One goal to track against this is 100 engaged users. Then comes the next 4 to 6 months, where your job to do is to foster conversation amongst the community members. It's no longer only about you posting content. You also need the members of the community to engage with one another and post content. At this stage, you'll be down to 70% UGC, admin to UGC ratio, and you'll start seeing first signs of organic member requests and engagement amongst members. Then comes the next stage, which is at about 8 to 12 months. Here, your primary job is to repost the content that people are sharing and control for spam. You'll be down to 50% admin to user-generated content ratio, and you'll start seeing a huge increase in the content generated by users as opposed to members, and you'll start seeing a lot more requests coming in from people who want to join your community. And at scale, basically, you're at autopilot. At this stage, your job is to basically farm your community and derive the economic value that you started the community for in the first place. And at this stage, no more than 70% of the content generated should come from admins. So in summary, what we've learned is that true product-led growth is basically a seamless product combined with great content, and community is the exponential factor. And what we've also discussed is the questions that you need to ask yourself before you start in your community building journey. You need to ask yourself, why are you building the community in the first place? You need to ask yourself, where are you going to build this community? How you're going to build the community? And how will you track whether you're doing good or not? Thank you.